We all know the drill. Boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, boy has to battle girl's evil exes to the death in order to win said girl. This comic book come to life tells the story of a lonely young man with an ordinary life and not so ordinary problems. I'm James Hawkinjos, and this is The Rewind.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hey guys, this is Jimmy, and you're listening to The Rewind, presented by House of Havoc Podcast Network.
Your scientists are so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they just don't think they should.
Never tell me the odds.
The Rewind.
The Rewind.
The Rewind.
It's showtime.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to House of Havoc presents The Rewind. A modern corruption. Fuck, I fucked that up.
A modern corruption.
Yeah, no.
Corruption.
An enthusiastic corruption of
Yes.
modern day cinema.
Indeed. We are
Today-
enthusiastic about it.
We're going to enthusiastically tackle Scott Pilgrim versus the world. Joining me today, Mr. Gage Zengi.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing okay.
Cool.
And we got Miss Emily Short.
Hi.
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 Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
So, Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
One of the best comic book adaptations.
The
of all time.
it
Yeah.
it
right behind
was
Blade.
Yeah.
it was the
Maybe
best.
in front of.
It was the best until Sony came out with the little movie in 2019. Spider-Verse.
Oh.
Spider-Verse is the best. I would still give it.
Oh wait, but we're really jumping into like the best comic book adaptation.
In
of all
terms of
time.
a comic
and
book
you're
adaptation,
saying Scott Pilgrim's number dos?
yeah.
Man.
I would say the accuracy of adaptation.
In terms of
though.
taking a comic book and putting it on the screen, whereas Spider-Verse is quite literally a
It is a
moving comic book. It's
yeah.
a moving comic book. So in terms of a live action, putting a comic book on the screen, I think Scott Pilgrim's up there with the best of them.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, this is such a wild time to
There's-
just be talking about the best comic book adaptation because they're every year there's like 6 of them.
Mm.
And you know what else made it up there really quickly? The Boys.
The Boys
The
is
Boys is
incredible.
fantastic.
The Boys is also a very young comic. The Boys
Yeah.
was written, I believe, published in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a super young comic book. When you're talking about stuff like Marvel, Spider-Man, I believe, debuted in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
and Superman debuted in the 20s, right?
N-
Or even-
no, they're all in
40s?
the late
Yeah.
30s, early 40s. Yeah. They both
So,
came out at the same time.
The Boys is incredible.
When was Scott Pilgrim written?
The comic,
06?
I want to say around
Off the rip
there.
06.
It's-
But I didn't do any research.
I remember when actually the first one came out because I think it was finished around 2010. Like right around this movie came out, it just finished.
The comic book itself?
They worked together.
Oh.
The writer and so I'll say it, the
Oh, so sorry.
Brian Lee O'Malley is the author of the comic book, and when he came out with the first one, before any of, I think he maybe came out with the second one too, and before the 6 were finished, they had already had the first draft of the screenplay written.
So it was a comic book in the works, and then Edgar Wright was like, I want to make that movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah, I-
Well, it's more of a graphic novel
Yes.
series than it is a comic book.
Yeah,
I'm kind of
it's-
just roping them into the same.
I
Yeah,
do too.
yeah.
It's technically a graphic novel. I actually read it in high school before seeing the movie.
Mhm.
So I've loved this movie since it came out. Like, I was always a big fan. Me and my friends always quoted it. And we were huge Scott Pilgrim fans of the comic books. So
Mhm.
for us to have a very, very close adaptation was phenomenal.
So is this an adaptation then? If it's, I mean, I guess if the comic book was, because then, like Goodfellas is also an adaptation, even though
Yes.
the movie was finished before the book was.
Yeah, but I mean, well, Goodfellas is a weird one because it's like it's based on a true story too. Like it is based on the story of Henry Hill
Mm-hmm.
and his life, and it's glamorized by Scorsese and who who authored the book? Was
And
it Henry Hill?
No.
No, who
it was-
it was, guys?
Oh, I don't
I don't remember who
If
it
you
was.
work
guys.
with Scorsese, you're NCO, and that's just the fucking way it is.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Earn yourself a name, you piece of crap. Before we get too far away, the reason that I put it up there as possibly the number one live action adaptation of a comic book of all time is that shot for shot, pound for pound, there are more direct comic book panels
Oh,
shot
yeah,
in
yeah.
this movie than any comic book movie ever made.
Yo,
It's
I
like
think
almost the entire movie is shot
is
for
the
shot a
actual
comic
panels.
book panel.
Yes.
So I think actually, a few years ago, Shia LaBeouf, I think it was him. He made a short film that was shot for shot the comic book, and he got a lot of shit for it.
Really?
Yeah, people were like, "Go figure your own shit out, be creative, da da da," and we're sitting there like, Scott Pilgrim is
You know, which is
pretty like
another
that.
one.
But I mean, not to take it. It's not that it's not creative at all, but
Yeah, I mean, another one that's very close to shot for shot is The Losers.
I don't know. Losers.
It's more, that was a Vertigo comic or graphic novel. I think I've made you watch
I've seen The
Losers.
Losers one time.
Yeah, it wasn't a big movie or anything. Another Chris Evans though.
Mhm.
Zoe Saldana's in it, and there's another big person too.
It's very like not punny, but it's very like parody-esque.
But that's how the comic was.
The
too.
Losers is like no, I believe that,
Yeah.
but I'm just like giving it to him. It's like very.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I haven't really seen, but I kind of get the feeling it's very similar in like the terms of what the message to like Tropic Thunder, where it's like
kind of,
it's a
but
parody of itself.
yes and no. It's about a group of like soldiers that get turned on, like the U.S. turns on them.
That get turned on.
Well, no, I mean like they
Fucking soldiers, man.
Goddamn, soldiers and sailors.
No, I mean
motherfucker.
like they get double crossed.
Cigarettes?
They all got boners.
Cigarettes and boners, baby.
They get double crossed by this like team in the U.S. and they're trying to get back and get their names cleared and stuff like that. It's one of those types of movies, but it's really well done and it's a great comic book. It's one of my favorite comic books.
Throw it on the
It
recommendation list. The Losers. We'll schedule it for season 2.
You got it.
It came out around the same time as Scott Pilgrim, so it was in that group of Watchmen and Scott Pilgrim that I was reading at that time. Walking Dead I was reading at that time. So for me, like I love this movie.
Now,
so
this is a
much.
point in time for me where I was not super into movies.
What was
2010.
2010.
when this came out?
This
Yes.
came out in 2010.
Oh, and did you see it in 2010?
No, the first time I saw it, Emily showed it to me probably roughly around 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, probably.
I saw
Very,
it, I
very
think 2014. 2014, 2015. D, when did you live on Allen Street? Yeah, I'm going to say 2014, 15.
Okay.
We were in our apartment on a hungover morning, threw on a movie.
Yeah.
So now we're telling stories anyway. Let's get right into it. On give it your personal score and how you feel about the movie. First time what took you so long to see it?
I just didn't know about it. I just had no idea what Scott Pilgrim was. And then I think, like, might have been Jesse or Matt or someone who originally told me.
Probably Jesse.
Yeah, it's right up his alley. What do I give it, though? Like, 9.2.
Ooh, high. You went high.
This movie's so good. And the
I don't think he
jokes
went high.
are so visual.
Yeah.
Like it uses the entire cinematic language to tell jokes, story, character arc, everything. It's dope.
Dude, there are so many things in this movie that like time and time again you watch it. Like we watched it last night for this podcast, and another thing that I realized is towards the end of the movie when he's talking, I don't know if it's before he dies and uses the one-up or after that, but it's towards the end of the movie. He's talking in Knives and he says like sorry to her or whatever, and then he says chow Knives.
Yeah, yo, so good.
And that was the first time I was like, light bulb, holy shit, this movie is so fucking smart, dude. The other thing that I didn't realize until like the second or third rewatch was every single time he takes someone's coat or takes his own coat, he just throws it.
He's like, let me take
He's
your
like,
coat.
let me
Toss
take
on the
your
floor.
coat. Here, let me take your coat. And the coat rack is like at least 3 feet behind.
Yeah,
him.
there is one.
It's like at least 3 feet over his left shoulder, and he just let me take your coat, like folds it like he's gonna put it all nice, and then just turns around and chucks it.
So I only noticed that the first time when he does it
Every
to Knives,
single
but
time
I
he
didn't
takes
realize
someone's coat.
I didn't realize he did take other people's coats.
Yeah, he takes Ramona's.
Takes Ramona's coat. He takes his own coat off and does it
Yeah.
at one point.
Yeah, it's
The first time he walks into his apartment, when you meet Kieran Culkin, he takes his own coat off and hawks it, but just like on the floor in front of his own coat rack.
What do you rate this movie?
I already said I think it's like one of the perfect comic book movies. I'm going like 9.4.
Okay.
Ooh, we're gonna have a conversation.
Someone's elitist art school fucking background is about to show its face. Let's hear
I
it.
would probably rate this in the high 8s.
Don't probably rate it. This is
High
the rewind. The
All
first
right.
part of the rewind is we properly rate things.
And then you'll get a chance to undo it later.
I would have to sit at like an 8.7, probably.
Okay, state your case.
I mean, I don't think the perfect film exists, so I'll never give anything a straight 10. I think there are things that have come close to it. I think this is a very well done movie. I think it's a top comic book movie. But I mean, there's some pacing issues that you could argue. Like, I mean, now I'm nitpicking. I am.
Can I make a scenario for you?
Sure.
You're teaching at the GCI, a made-up school called the Global Cinema Institute.
Okay.
And you are one of the top teachers there.
Okay.
And you're like, hey, everybody, you get an unlimited budget, go out, fucking make a movie. And you got young Edgar Wright there, and he comes back, and you had just watched this fucking movie called Titanic, and then you watched this other film called fucking 2001: A Space Odyssey, and you were like, what was that guy thinking? And then you watch Scott Pilgrim, and you have to give it a grade. And you're like, okay, this is the student's grade for this class. What are you giving that student?
Oh, I'd probably give him like an A. Like, that's the thing.
Then what's with the 8.7?
Because I'm not. Okay, grading's different.
May I interject really quick?
Yeah, go for
I'm gonna interject really quick and just hot button alert. Scott Pilgrim fucking buries both of those movies. 2001: A Space Odyssey is a disaster, but fuck the Titanic. I get it. Great movie.
Yo, that's our first shirt.
What?
That is a corruption to cinema.
2000 what?
Saying 2001: A Space Odyssey is a disaster.
But the thing though, it's like if I'm to sit there and grade them, if I'm to sit there,
Scott Pilgrim takes the cake on both of them.
if I'm to sit there and grade them as a teacher, I probably would give all 3 of those A's.
Yes,
You know,
if I was a teacher at a regular film school, I'd be like, wow, you guys are gonna do great things. It not only for cinema but for humanity. But if you were like, okay, I'm an alien, I'm from a different planet, and we're gonna judge the top people here to tell a story using a camera, what are you giving them in this class?
I'd probably land Scott Pilgrim at like an A- or B+, and I'd probably land Titanic around the same.
All right.
I would probably land Space Odyssey. You know what though? If I'm an alien, I might connect to Space Odyssey a little bit more.
You'd be like, wow, that's just accurate.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I might get that higher score, you know. So, but no, I think it's a great movie. I don't know. It's probably one of my favorites. But I'm one of those people that's grades partially, I guess, when it comes to my liking of content, not my judging of other people's content. Right? If we clarify parameters on these scoring, then I maybe have a different score. But if it's just my generalized score of my feelings on it, yeah.
Here's my reason for the 9.4. This is a personal score. It's not like I'm not sitting back like I'm Roger Ebert and I'm giving it an IMDb rating and we're taking all things into context here. I'm scoring it for myself. And since my first viewing of Scott Pilgrim, there's no single film I've watched. I've watched and rewatched more in the last 3 years than Scott Pilgrim. And so that's why it gets a 9.4.
That's fair.
The next closest thing I've watched more in the last 3 years than Scott Pilgrim, probably I've watched half as many times. And it's probably one of the Harry Potter movies or one of the Star Wars movies.
Like, I have a long list that I've watched more than Scott Pilgrim.
I've watched it so many times in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It's got great rewatchability. It's a good easy watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good casual watch. You could throw it on while you're doing shit. It's one of those things you don't even need to really look at. You can just hear it.
You're right.
Like,
that should be my new background movie.
Oh, it's a great one. Because
Dude,
you'll
it's
catch
great.
random things and you'll start laughing.
Right now, my background movie is Boondock Saints.
Oh, classic. Love Boondock.
Boondock Saints. We'll get to that one eventually.
Can I bring up something real quick that has nothing to do with this movie other than Chris Evans?
Hold on. I have everything that I have everything out in the. I think I've said everything I need to say in this first segment.
I think so, yeah.
All right, go ahead, and then we'll take a break.
So Dee told me that Chris Evans is like disappointed about some of the movies he's done, and she wasn't sure if this was one of them, but she knows Not Another Teen Movie was.
Yeah, that I knew.
I could see
No,
that
I'm pretty
movie,
sure.
though.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah, but
Chris
is it
Evans was okay with Scott Pilgrim.
But do you think that it's like if cancel culture wasn't a thing, he wouldn't feel that way? Do you think it's like an
No.
artistic thing, or do you think it's I was in a pretty fucked up movie? I'm
No, I
gonna
think
just
it's an
say
artistic
it.
thing.
Okay, I thought
I
he was
think
just
it's
covering
completely
his
artistic.
ass.
No, I think it's artistic because I think I probably would have been the same. If I got...
That's a great movie.
No, I know, but I could see where Chris Evans is saying that because Chris Evans kind of became a very serious actor, even though maybe it's not quote-unquote serious roles. He's now a serious actor. He's an A-lister. They look at him.
What's
this way.
next for him? Because I think the reason he wanted to retire Captain America is because he wants to move on from it, right?
Mhm.
But when you hear Chris Evans, I hear Chris Evans. It's Captain America. It's fucking Johnny Storm, and then maybe Scott Pilgrim.
Maybe that's why he wants. Maybe he wants to try.
So
something.
what do you like? What's
He's-
next in his
He's
career?
going to go be an action star.
You think he's gonna do action?
Absolutely.
What about RDJ?
RDJ, I don't know. I could see he could go anywhere. He could go political. He could go satire. He could. I have a feeling
Made a huge
he's
mistake
not-
doing Zoolander, bro. Oh, not Zoolander.
Dr. Dolittle?
Dr. Dolittle. I haven't even seen it.
Well,
Assume
that's
it's
the
a
thing.
snoozer, dude.
I have a feeling.
I assume
I assume it was a
Dr. RDJ Doolittle
I
is a snooze
assume
fest.
It was a
I
paycheck.
have a massive feeling that he
Disney
is
didn't give him
not-
enough?
No, I have a feeling he's not going far away from the MCU. I don't think that his career. will.
Chris?
No,
RDJ.
RDJ.
Oh.
No, RDJ. Like that's the thing. Yes, he was able to rebuild his career with Marvel, but was he really? Because I don't think so. Because the movies he's come out with that are not from Marvel are not that great. They do not stand up to other movies. Like if you look at Mark Ruffalo knows how to pick a movie. He's in.
Mark Ruffalo
fantastic
wants to be
movies.
the Hulk forever. Yeah, I don't think I'm pretty sure he's pretty open about not wanting to do anything else.
Yeah, no, he's done all that stuff too.
No, I know,
In
but
between.
I'm
But my
saying
point
going
is-
forward,
Right, but
I don't think he wants to leave Disney anytime soon.
right, but my point is that him, ScarJo, Hemsworth, these are actors. Like they can get other roles in other types of films. They have range. RDJ has the range. He has the ability to do it. But will Hollywood allow him? Do they really fully forgive him? I don't know.
He's fucking great, though.
He's fantastic. But look
I
at
think
the movies
I'm
he
talking about
does.
his older
I
movies.
think
like,
anybody who would be trying to
like-
make a splash in the comic book franchise world that we live in right now would absolutely sign the check for him. What's the role?
Well, the problem,
That's the problem. What's the role? Like, because unless he stays in the MCU as some sort of post-mortem Iron Man, you can't bring him. How are you going to bring him back into the MCU as anyone but Tony Stark?
no, they would only bring
can't.
him back as Tony Stark.
So that's limited.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I my feeling about RDJ is like he's a fantastic actor, but he in a way I feel has one-noted himself to being RDJ. Every role he takes, he is RDJ. He is a version of RDJ. In the Doolittle movie, he was a version of it. In Sherlock Holmes, he was a version
Well,
of it.
Yeah, he kind
In
of
the
has
new
that
stuff.
same thing with like.
It's every so often you'll see, and this is specifically in the comic book art aspect of things, you'll see an actor get the role and then kind of shape shift and morph what the character is. And now to the aspect where in the comic books, Tony Stark is RDJ now.
Well, Tony Stark also looked like him.
No, he did,
Like-
but he just took aspects of the character that he made them part of the character for himself. Like the fact that he's always eating in those movies. You know, that the reason he's always eating in the movies is because he always had snacks hidden on set, and they would always like piss the producers off, and like shit would get spilled. So he would just start fucking eating. Like in Iron Man 2, when he's fucking around with Jarvis and he's eating like snap peas or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's just RDJ having a snack on set.
Just
Like
being
he just
all
made
natural.
that. He just and they were just like, all right, fuck it. That's part of Iron Man now.
Yeah, my point is that I think like the other actors that we see, obviously ScarJo is a clear one because we see her in Jojo Rabbit and a bunch of other films that she has a massive range. But when we look at RDJ's movies post Iron Man 1, they're literally just him being him. They're him with an
Not
accent.
Tropic Thunder.
Was
That's-
Tropic Thunder post?
I don't know. It was
I don't know if that.
2009.
I don't.
Yeah, Iron Man's 07, 08.
All right, so maybe take away Tropic. But my point is that like if you look at Sherlock Holmes, like to me it was Robert Downey Jr. with an English accent in old English clothing.
Oh,
Like
I
he's
disagree.
not
I disagree.
really.
I disagree. I think he was playing brilliant genius man, which is also what Tony Stark kind of was, but not as erratic, not as messy of a space, you know.
All right, well, let's also be fair. Like, I don't think that either of those movies that he's came out with since have been good either. He's not really even choosing quality.
I don't mean to break
I
up
mean,
the
I kinda
good
like the
banter
first-
here. Don't
first
mean to
Sherlock
break
Holmes.
up the good banter
But this
here.
has nothing to
I'm
do
pulling
with
it back in.
Yeah.
I'm pulling it back in. Enough of that. We could have a whole segment, a whole series of shows about RDJ and the MCU. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back.
Are you ready to experience the dark and macabre? Look no further than Tiger Pack Productions. Tiger Pack Productions, independent film company by our friends Emily and Vincent. They started back in 2018. They've done a few short films, The Attack and Flora's Daughter. Award-winning at dozens of festivals. This company's on the rise. They're just getting started. So why don't you guys give them a follow on their Instagram and Facebook at Tiger Pack Productions, and go to their website, www.tigerpackproductions.com, and see their entire catalog of products and what they offer. They're really cool people. You should check them out.
All right, guys, and we're back, and we're going to break into the technical aspects of how this movie was made, how it's presented, how it was written. This is not really my territory. This is Gage and Emily. I have a few
How it's
things.
presented.
I'll get to why I'm saying how it's presented. Because what I mean by that is my little bit that I have on it is in the beginning when they're showing you everybody
Mm-hmm.
and the little blurbs pull up, like Steve Stills, 22 years old, the
Yeah,
talent.
yeah.
And then they pull up to, I forgot one specific, Aubrey Plaza. Julie Powers, 22 years old, has issues.
Yeah.
Like those little blurbs that they
Yeah.
brought up are the first things that I was like, oh, I'm going to love this.
Uh-huh.
Like 45 seconds into the movie, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a great time watching this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's written incredibly. I already got into how there's so many comic book panel shots in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's witty. The one-liners, you could go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a fun, lighthearted movie in terms of the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
All right, I'll go through real quick the everything. So it was directed by Edgar Wright. The writer was Michael Bacall and Edgar Wright, and the comic was by Brian Lee O'Malley, which was in a 6-part novel, graphic novel series. Cinematographer was Bill Pope. Editor was Jonathan Amos and Paul Matchless. I definitely butchered that last name. Cast Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim, Kieran Culkin as Wallace Wells, Anna Kendrick as Stacy Pilgrim, Allison Pill as Kim Pine, Audrey Plaza as Julie Powers, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers, Jason Schwartzman as Gideon Graves, Johnny Simmons as Yun Neal, Mark Weber as Stephen Stills, Ellen Wan as Knives Chow, Nelson Frankel as Como or something like that. I forgot. Como, that's right. That's what his name was. I saw it and I was like, what is his name?
Como. Who's Como?
Como knows at 25 years old, knows everything.
Oh, knows
Yeah,
everyone.
he's great.
Yeah, that's Ramona Flowers.
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, so this is what I actually
Wait,
meant to
hold on.
bring up before.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
finish
Yeah.
the order. Chris Evans as Lucas Lee, Brie Larson as Envy Adams, Mae Whitman as Roxy Richer, and Brandon Ruth as Todd Ingram. I know what you're gonna say.
When he goes, hey, do you know this girl, and holds up this sketch?
Yeah.
That's like what the drawings look like in the comic book. That's Ramona in the comic
Well,
book.
that's not actually one in the comic book. So what I did, because I was researching it, and I thought some of them looked a little off. A lot of them are straight from the comic book. But what they did, that was an actual screw drawing by Michael Cera
Oh, really?
of Ramona Flowers. Yeah. But they actually had an artist come in and mimic the drawing. So some of them are just another artist coming in and mimicking it, and the Brian O'Malley was like fantastic. He was so into the artist. He was like mimicked my style really well and whatever. So he was okay with it. But
By the way, shout out Como as Robbie in New Girl.
yeah,
Great character in New Girl if you've ever seen
a
that.
Never saw New Girl.
lot of these
Como, he brings fire in New Girl.
He's
But
so good.
We'll move it on.
a lot of these actors went on to be decent names. I mean, Michael Cera at the time was a decent name, but Kieran Culkin. He
Shout out to
was
Succession.
Yeah, he was known at that time, but I feel like within the last couple of years,
Well, yeah, because he's one of the Culkin kids. He did work as a kid with his brother. Just not as well known as Macaulay Culkin because he wasn't in Home Alone.
Right, and now we're starting to see Rory Culkin come up more too. He's starting to kind of start shining.
I love Kieran Culkin not only in this movie but also in Succession. He's just amazing. He's such a great. He knows he plays like a pissant. He's such a great little dick.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He's very good.
He's great in Succession.
He's great at giving characters a hard time.
Yeah.
I think he's just great at giving people a hard time, like humans, dude. I think Kieran.
Oh, I'm sure in real life.
I'm sure he's got that in him.
Dude, the scene in Succession when he's just standing on the 27th floor, looking out the window, beating off.
Yeah, just jerking off.
But anyway, I digress.
The runtime was 112 minutes. It's rated PG-13. The release date was August 13, 2010. Any guess on the budget?
$65 million.
$40 million.
60 million.
Ooh.
60 million. Box office, the U.S. opening was a little over 10 million, which actually is not too bad.
Okay.
And the worldwide gross was
112.
I was going to say 120. Way less.
82. Ooh.
47 million.
It nailed it. It was a little more than 47 million.
Damn.
Wild. So
Oh, they
the
took
good
a
old
loss.
the good old
Good
commercial
loss.
failure called success. Listen, Netflix is paying them the difference, all right? It's
Oh,
gonna be
they've
okay.
made their money.
They've
on
made
the
their money
merch
on
and
this
everything. Like they've made their money back. This is a cult classic. I mean,
You
amongst my
you
friends,
talk about a murderer's row of people who are just ready to hit their stride. I mean, now granted, Sarah, that's post Superbad.
Mhm.
Chris Evans is post Fantastic Four, but that was a flop. Definitely post Fantastic Four.
Yeah, Chris Evans was like, I would argue,
He's
probably
one-
one of the one names in this. The one like people knew.
Anna
Like,
Kendrick,
no, was
Mhm.
unheard of at the time.
Aubrey
Unheard
Plaza,
of at the time.
not on Parks and Rec yet. Might have been on Parks
Might
and Rec.
have been just on Parks and Rec.
Yeah, because when did Guardians come out?
Guardians came
Yeah,
out
2012.
like 2012. yeah.
Okay, and they had already done like, I think in season 4, Chris Pratt dropped weight for that. So that would have meant that she started around the same time.
Yeah, it was probably around the same. Maybe it was a season or two in when this came out. She wasn't. No, she was never on Arrested Development.
Everyone in the band, not much.
Well, no, that's not true.
Well, Young Neil was in that movie where
He's in 21 Jump Street. He
Young
takes
Neil.
the
Young Neil is in 21 Jump
He
Street.
takes the whatever it is in that one.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi is the second one. I forget what it's called in the first one, but he takes that. He also actually was in the original Whiplash when I can't think of
The original Whiplash?
Yes, you know how he did where he made a short version of it.
Oh,
with
yeah,
J.K.
yeah, yeah.
Simmons.
Yeah.
He played Miles Teller's role.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and then when they picked it up for the full length one, they recast that, and he.
They're like Miles Teller's.
Yeah, but J.K. Simmons was in both versions of it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, he's I've seen him in a lot. He's in a lot of television, and I think he does stage work too. So
Oh, and then also Brandon Ruth, shout out. CW, DC, Television Universe. Plays the
Jason
Adam.
Schwartzman was a pretty big name.
he was a big name. Yeah, he had already done Marie Antoinette at that time, and a bunch of
Yeah,
other
he's
stuff.
just got
Yeah,
a face,
Fast
that
Times.
That sounds, yeah.
guy. He just got a face that you're like, I know this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, you hadn't really heard of her yet, and now
Yeah.
she's Huntress.
Brie Larson.
You know, Brie Larson did not really know her yet.
No, when did she came
21
up with
Jump
Room,
Street.
right?
Well, yeah, 21 Jump Street, that was the big one.
For Brie?
Mhm.
Well, there was... Oh, so when they did Room, she wasn't a big name, but then something came out before Room came out. It was like they shot Room, and then there was a big pause, and then she was in fucking something that shot her up to stardom. Was it
21
short-term 12? Was
I
that
don't
it?
know, but 21 Jump Street was the one where everyone noticed.
When did Anna
one I
Kendrick?
remember.
When did Anna Kendrick do Cinderella or whatever the fuck she did?
Oh, Into the Woods, that was after Pitch Perfect.
That was after Pitch
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So what was Pitch Perfect her big home run?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
2012.
Yes. Pitch Perfect was her big one.
Beautiful. Voice.
Which actually
Super
probably was
talented,
right around
beautiful.
21 Jump Street too.
Hmm.
All those were right after these films. So they either probably filmed them before this or were in talks or, you know, they were becoming massive stars by this point of this movie. So, I mean, you could argue Edgar Wright found them a little bit.
Catalyst.
you know, he was a bit of a catalyst in them. He also is very close with a lot of directors. Tarantino and Kevin Smith and a bunch of other guys. So, I mean, you could argue too that...
Oh, we could do a whole
Made a
segment.
recommendation.
Yeah, easily. I mean, he's a known guy in the industry. Location. This is probably easy.
Canada.
Toronto.
Toronto, yeah. Camera?
Let's go with... Damn, I have no point of reference for any of his movies.
It's a
The
D70.
fucking Alexa. It's digital.
It was an RE Flex 435 ES, a Panavision Primo, and a Phantom.
Huh.
I thought I laughed when I saw the Phantom. I was like, oh, Phantom.
That
I haven't
makes
heard
sense.
about a Phantom in a while. That was like college.
Oh,
Awards, none worth noting. And some quick facts was Michael Cera knew how to play the bass before starting this. He actually had to learn how to dumb down his playing to not outshine his co-stars in playing. All the other co-stars had to learn from scratch how to play, and they spent several weeks playing together to actually look like a band. Beck wrote most of the music for the Sex Bombs.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That
Fuck
makes
yeah,
sense.
Beck.
Yeah, they performed them. Like, Brie Larson performed the Metric Black Sheep song. They all performed the songs. They weren't necessarily used in the movies, or they were kind of mixed with
Wait.
the vocals.
Who actually made Black Sheep?
Metric.
Okay, so they performed the song and then the track's just over.
So, yeah, so the movie version is not Brie Larson. But
Yeah.
it doesn't truly sound like the real recorded Metric version. So I don't know if they've crossed the two Brie Larson's
Did a
voice
little
with-
High School Musical type
yeah,
of deal.
I have a feeling they did. Didn't see anything.
What?
High
Oh,
School
yeah, Zac
Musical
Efron.
is Zac Efron mixed with somebody else singing.
What?
They
Yeah.
said
How do you... They just merged the voice?
Yeah.
What?
It's
Yeah.
him singing and another kid singing. And
That
they-
sounds expensive.
it gives it a heartier
Yeah, the other
sound.
kid had a huge lawsuit with Disney over not getting paid the same as Zac Efron.
What the fuck would you? Why would he get paid the same? I'm confused.
Yeah,
Because he could have acted too. They just chose Efron over him, but they didn't like Efron's voice, right? They didn't
but
like Efron's voice, but they didn't like his acting.
they
Was
felt Efron's voice wasn't like hearty enough.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have enough like.
Bet
Bass
on
in it,
it,
I
bet
guess.
on it.
But that's the thing. In the next ones, he sang every time. But yeah.
Is that the stupid video where they're
Yeah.
running? Where he's
Yes.
Running through the golf course.
I
Yeah.
love that one. So good. To avoid the R rating, they curse out the bleep. They bleeped out the cursing.
Yeah. How are
The
you doing that with your mouth?
Don't
that was
fucking worry
actually
about
that
it.
one was written in. The one where Brie Larson turns around and says, "Shut the fuck up, Julie."
Yeah.
That one was actually bleeped out.
Which is so smart.
Well, they couldn't. They only were allowed one, and the one that they chose was "you cocky cock."
Oh
That was
yeah.
the one curse that
But
they
I
were
think
allowed. Cocky cock.
he means that it was so smart to just improv the.
No, it was so smart to have Brie Larson do the mouth like edit thing back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Julie because
Yeah, like while that joke
because
was
he
going
asked
on.
Julie, how you doing that thing with your mouth? She, don't fucking worry about how I'm doing it.
Yeah,
And then fucking it's a good little tiny way for
Yeah,
things
nice
to
way
come
to
full circle.
wrap it up.
which was totally probably
Because
not
Julie's
right.
like the head fucking bitch around town, but then around Envy, she's just like another fucking
Another
whipping
wannabe
bitch.
groupie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Edgar Wright wrote to Nintendo to get The Legends of Zelda the sound bites. He wrote to them that it was the nursery rhyme of this generation, and Nintendo gave them permission, which I thought was awesome. When you see the moon, it has a hole in it. In every shot, the moon is full. It has a hole in
Oh,
it.
because
Because
he
Todd
punched
punched
a
a
hole.
hole. And in the comic book, it's actually got 2 holes because he punches another hole for Envy. And
Oh.
that was like a thing within the series. But that's, obviously don't see that in the movie. It took 33 takes for Michael Cera to get the box in the trash bin. And they said that they wanted authenticity. And everyone was like, you could just do this digitally. And he's like, nope, we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
Wait, to do what?
Remember when he gets the package from Ramona from Amazon, he just tosses it and lands right in the bin?
Mhm.
They were trying to get that like in one take, and it took 33 takes.
They have a blooper reel of it of him just missing.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing.
They also have him Wallace coming in trying to toss the keys and hit him in the back of the head. That took a bunch.
The Edgar Wright said that the style of the movie was a musical, but with the fight scenes being musical numbers. and that they're breaking out into fight instead of breaking out into song. And that was kind of how he stylized it.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Which I thought, when I read that note, I was like, that makes so much sense. Because once I feel like that's said, it's like you could clearly see how that happens. Because even with the with Matthew Patel, and he starts singing, and Anna Kendrick's like, what?
Yeah.
It's
Like, oh, it's a musical now?
Yeah, like, what is happening?
But, that is interesting, because it's not just the fight sequence, it's also exposition, it's background of story, it tells you where the characters' heads are at while they're fighting, so that's in tune of a musical, more so than a fight sequence.
Yeah, and it's done in a way that a musical would happen, where it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's done in the way where it just comes and goes, the fight scene or the musical number, and then everyone carries on like it never happened.
Yeah, it's not even talked about.
Yeah.
Really.
Like the second time.
And there's always a big crescendo in the sound of coins hitting the floor.
Yeah.
The second time when they get to Lucas Lee and Kieran Culkin goes, Scott, Evil X, fight.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Oh no, it's that one guy.
So the 8-bit design that was in the beginning of the movie was actually the first draft. When they put it in previews, it got such a huge reaction that they didn't
The
touch
Universal logo.
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it was designed by his brother, Oscar Wright. And Chris Evans' stunt doubles that he fights are actually his stunt doubles. Those were really Chris Evans' stunt doubles.
All of them?
Well, I don't know if it was all of them.
For
but
this movie?
it was,
Just throughout his
no,
career?
throughout his career, like who he
Okay.
works with, yeah. X's are seen all over if you pay attention, like in the way the shadows move, in the way that the two Japanese DJs cross their arms. You see X's, and it's to symbolize the 7 X's. It also, there's numbers, like when Chris Evans is walking past the car, there's 2 because he's the second X that they're facing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd has
Todd
3
has
on his
3.
Todd has
shirt.
3 on his shirt.
Yeah.
There's all things like that they did, which are really smart. Ramona's hair actually corresponds with the Zelda goddesses. Pink, green, and blue. Yeah, I forget exactly all their names right now. I don't actually remember any of their names, but that is something that was really... They really pulled a lot of Nintendo things
That's
into this.
interesting.
Yeah, a lot of things like that. Because Brian O'Malley was a huge comic book and gaming guy, too, as was Edgar Wright. And then, of course, like I said, Beck did most of the music. All the drummers are girls. In every single band, the drummer is a girl. And it, like I said, it's based on all 6 of the graphic novels. But that's the generalized notes that I found in researching it. They all seem to have a fun time, it says on set and stuff like that. Like, no real, like, massive dramas or anything that I came up with, but...
No casting what ifs?
Honestly,
The casting what if is a fun one that we need to make a regular segment.
I wouldn't recast this. I think
No,
it's really awesome.
not if you would recast it.
Like, what if
Like-
this person was there
Oh,
instead
there was
of
a
that
lot.
person?
Oh,
Yeah,
so many people.
I'm not saying that this is true. Like, just before Michael Cera got the role, they interviewed Jesse.
Eisenberg.
Like something like that. Like
They did actually, Twilight, Edward Cullen. I can't think of his name right now.
Pattinson
Yeah, Rob Pattinson. He
for
was
Michael Cera's role.
He was auditioning.
There you go. There's a casting what if.
Yeah. There was
Fucking-
a lot.
That's what I say about that.
Yeah. There was a lot of casting what ifs for every role. Every single role had a casting. Like that. There were so many names that
We'll
they
workshop that. We'll workshop this segment in.
had. I'll see if I can. I'll do
No,
more
not for
research on
not
that.
for this one. I'm
Jason
saying going
Statham.
forward.
Statham as Lucas Lee.
No way. No
Why
way.
not?
It has to be Chris Evans. Has to be.
Why
So-
not? Why not?
We
Jason
move.
Statham.
We're moving into our awards now.
Well, did you have anything to talk about technical with the writing or anything like that?
Dude, so the writing I love because, it's witty in one way where they give, like, clever one-liners, but then there's also, like, okay, our main character had a dream. He's going to go in and see if this is a real person. We're not going to sit down for a 15 or 20-minute conversation as a scene just to, like, really bring us into letting us know, like, oh, that character's at this party. We're going to just take care of that in 5 quick lines of, hey, show on screen, this guy knows everyone. Hey, do you know this girl? Yeah, she's here. Done.
Lady dudes.
Fucking done.
Well, that whole, I actually meant to make a mental note to bring this up. I love that whole segment that you were just talking about where they're like, we're not going to take the whole 20 minutes or whatever. From the time he gets the package to them getting to the party, is the jump cuts that they do.
Oh, like, oh man, this sucks.
Yeah, he's just daydreaming the whole time, and it cuts to Scott. You played one note that whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then where are we going to that party? Oh, sucks. And then they're there. Like that whole thing is like to symbolize him being clouded, like scatterbrained and not paying attention. I love that whole segment. The whole way we get to the party.
The transitions are fantastic.
Yeah, that whole scene where
The
they
comic book is a bit like that too, though. It does jump like that.
Yeah.
Not as drastically as the movie, but it that's where that adaptation truly I feel comes in. With not just the dialogue, but also the way that they handle moving to scenes and stuff like that, where it is kind of like jumps like that, and I can't even think of another comic book that really does a lot like that.
Oh, I
off the top
can't
of my head.
really speak on comic books at all.
Can you think of one off the top of your head that does a lot?
that'll just jump from panel to panel, like scenes like that. Not unless you're talking about like the Flashpoint series. Any of the Flashpoint paradoxes will do stuff like that, but that's a time traveling story.
Yeah, it's
arc.
a different type of thing.
So it's completely different. Erroneous on all counts.
The other
That
camera-
oh my god! When we do Wedding Crashes,
I haven't
that
actually
might
seen
we might break
all
the
of
rule
Wedding
on
Crashes.
going over the length of. You've never seen all of Wedding Crashes?
Nah.
Dude, talk about one-liner fireballs.
Yeah.
Well, don't
Wedding
just
Like
Crashes
the
is
last
great.
half, I think.
But you know what's funny? Because I was laughing.
talk about another who's who lineup of people that blew right after.
Yeah, definitely. And some that kind of fell
Some
off.
that kind of fell off.
Yeah. I was laughing though because when I was watching, Envy turns around. I think she says it to Todd where she's like, "You're incorrigible," and I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
we
and
can't
I'm
escape
like,
that.
yeah.
We cannot escape that."
I don't know the meaning of the word.
Yeah.
It's all right, Todd. Neither do I.
I think it's very well done. I think the shots are great. I think the way
Well,
they
when he
stage
goes
it.
into the dream sequence and he feels like really small and alone, and it just like letterboxes down to a super cinemascope, and you're just like, how, like, what a way to just show like anxiety and like what was it called when you scare of small spaces?
claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia.
Yeah.
What? Fucking. And then Ramona comes by and it opens back up again. And there's so many little things about that. So there used to be this guy on YouTube who had a page called Every Frame of Painting. And my man, if you could come back and start making these again, that would be phenomenal. Like, they're seriously the
Talk
shit.
yo talk.
And so
What
he
happened?
had
That's okay. Just keep talking. Your phone just glitched. It's okay.
He had one episode specifically on the comedy styles of Edgar Wright, and this made me look at comedies totally differently. So I can't watch a normal one now like the other guys and like really get into it because they're like most comedies now are like giant SNL skits of just like characters talking to each other and saying funny lines, and that's all cool and gravy and it works a lot of the time. Definitely works commercially, but to take someone like Edgar Wright who uses props, transitions, lighting, sounds, camera work, and incorporate that into comedy is fucking insane. Like Shaun of the Dead when they're whacking the dude in the fucking with the pool sticks in the pub. Yeah. To the Queen
Fuck
song.
yeah, dude.
Like that's just
The level of physical comedy in this too. Cause
It's a lot of slapstick.
a lot. I mean, Scott jumping through the window when Knives comes and he jumps
oh
out
yeah,
the window.
oh he just left.
Yeah, and he pushes it first right. And
Yeah.
he just missed him.
Yeah.
He's not
Or
here.
even when he wakes up in the bed, when he first sees Ramona in his dream and he wakes up and
Yeah.
what is it, Scott? What is it, other Scott?
Was it envy? We don't say the E word here.
And that comes right after.
yeah.
That comes right after the sister says, "Was it she who must not be named?"
Yeah.
It's great.
And when Jimmy comes out of the bathroom, the blonde head that he stole from Hannah Kendrick,
Yeah.
he's like, double standard. You got a problem with it? Take it up with Liberace's ghost.
Yeah, that's one of the best lines, honestly. It's like, I didn't write the gay handbook. You got a problem with it? Take it up with Liberace's ghost. Or when they're kissing and she's like, "Oh, say goodbye to your gay friends with me." She's like, "My gay friends." And she's
Yeah.
like, "Wallace again?"
When he first sits down, he's like, "Hey, Jimmy, do these guys suck or rock?"
I don't know. They haven't started yet.
It's a test, Jimmy. You passed.
There we go.
There's a lot of classic lines like that too, where they're walking in and Robbie from I forgot what his name
Cuomo.
is. Cuomo. He's like, "Oh, the comic book's better than the movie." They do that a couple times. I'm like, oh.
Every time you see Cuomo, he says something like that.
Well, even Young Neil says it to Nice, where she was like, "Oh my god, that was amazing!" Right after they watched the Clash of Demon Head, and he's like, "Oh, if you thought that was amazing, you should see them live. They're better live." And it's like you just watched them live, and it's these little like
They're talking
digs
to the viewer.
Yeah, it's that, but it's also these little digs at what the music industry has become and stuff that it's not just about like music anymore, it's all about,
when
like,
you
the-
see Cuomo when you see Cuomo towards the end of the movie, I think it's the second time when he comes around after he gets the one up. When every time Cuomo's talking to someone off screen, like not off screen, but like off focus, it's something like that. Like I forgot exactly what he said, but when he walks in, Cuomo says something like, "Yeah, the first book's so much better than the second one," or something like that, or the first album's so much better than the second one. So he says something like that.
I think it's the first album so much better than the first album.
Yeah, that's what he says. The first album is so much better than their first album.
Is that just like a poke at pretentious people in big cities?
That's exactly what it is. It's a poke at that pretentious music industry, like
cuckiness.
Yeah. They're being cocks. They're making fun of cocks. That's exactly what it is.
Hipsters.
Yep, pretty much.
Man.
I guess that's our awards, right? So.
Oh, and the editing timing is fucking phenomenal. Whoever edited this, shouts out to you.
The coloration's good too.
The color's dope.
Color's good. But all right, let's go heat check.
Heat check. All right. Nominees are any of the X's.
Okay.
Here's what I want to argue with: is Julie Powers eligible? Because I argue yes, and I argue she's.
Oh, we should just ask who's the best X.
Is Julie Powers eligible? Because when you think about it, she's in the beginning.
No, I think she's in too much.
You think? I think she's right on the line. She's only in like 5 scenes.
I think the only people that you could really consider, besides maybe Robbie from Girls, I'm gonna keep calling him Robbie, is the X's. Because everyone else, even Roxy.
What? I think milk and eggs, bitch. That's a pretty
milk and eggs, bitch.
That's pretty nominal.
Chilato's not vegan. Brandon Ruth is definitely up. I think it's between Brandon Ruth and Chris Evans.
Who's Brandon Ruth?
Brandon Ruth is the V is Todd. Yeah.
Todd.
It's one of them, and I think because they're like, you talk about the one-liners, the one that I will always get a cheap laugh out of every time I watch this movie is, "You're gonna hear 2 clicks. The first one is me hanging up. The second is me pulling the trigger."
Click with the gun, with the butt of the gun.
And then on top of that, you got, he's good, right? Sometimes I even let him do the wide shots when I want to get blazed in the Winnie.
Yeah.
That's great. The other great one he has too is
I just sold myself on Chris Evans.
I will actually, like, if somebody says something that's kind of funny and is low key, I'll just be like, huh, that's actually hilarious. Like, I say that often enough.
The other great one he has too is, the only thing keeping me and her apart is 2 minutes it's gonna take me to kick your ass. That's
Or then after he punches him and throws him, he goes, "He seems nice."
I would say Chris Evans for the heat check. I think he is so good from the minute you see him.
I mean, but so like I think Chris Evans too, but so like Matthew Patel is an amazing actor too. You didn't read my email? I skimmed it.
You would pay for your insolence.
So
you will pay for your insolence is amazing.
His sequence, I think, is the most corny part of the film. I could do without that whole number with the
if you
That's
want
the
to
Bollywood.
that I could do without that. I could do without the goth chicks. I could do without it.
That's the
And
whole
his mystical
Bollywood
powers,
part
dude.
and
Yeah.
stuff that they were trying to bring in. But that actually is in the comic too. There is
So we got
Matthew
2 for
Patel.
Chris
I'm
Evans.
sure.
Who you
I'm
picking?
saying, I'm picking either Chris Evans or Milk and Egg, bitch.
The
He
vegan
just-
cop.
Dude, he nailed that line.
Milk and eggs, bitch.
Yeah.
That honestly, like you,
Milk and eggs,
it's
bitch.
fair. That's fair.
Although he had the editing to help him out.
Vegan police.
All right, I'm going with Chris Evans.
All right, Chris Evans, heat check. He's the winner of Scott Pilgrim. I wonder how many Chris Evans may be in. Because Chris Evans does a lot. He's in a lot of films, like small roles and stuff like that are obscure that you would never you honestly forget that he's in them. So I'm curious.
Should we do the Vincent Hanna,
What is that?
the overacting?
What's that?
It's the overacting award.
Oh.
Who would you give that to?
Dude, I think Brie Larson.
No. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but I mean, no.
No.
Matthew Patel.
I think it would be Matthew Patel too.
Yeah, it could be him.
The reason
He's really going for it.
The
that
reason
guy.
I don't say Brie Larson is because
It's kind of
think
exactly what she's supposed to
that's
be.
exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly who she's supposed to be because Natalie was normal. She was this normal girl that Scott dated, and then she became NV because her initials are Natalie Veronica.
Never
NV.
picked that up.
That was a comic book thing. I don't know if that was actually
No,
in the
you never
movies.
hear that in the movie.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
Because I didn't. This is the first time I'm hearing this.
Yeah, her name is Natalie Veronica. NV Adams. Natalie Veronica Adams is her full name.
Mhm.
So NV is how she got NV Adams.
Gotcha.
But when she really wanted to be part of this movie, Brie Larson, and she said that she watched the awards for the porn star awards
Mhm.
and saw how the girls acted and talked, and that's how she did it because that's how NV Adams' speech supposed to be. It's like pin-up-y type of Marilyn Monroe, airy.
Yeah, I'm too hot
voice.
for anybody in this room.
Yeah, like like that whole when she does that whole like, oh, I gotta go. It's like it's so spot on specific, and to have to do that for an entire like role, kudos to her, man. That's hard. It's really hard to do that. I don't think she's overacts. I would probably say Matthew Patel. You staying with
That's
that?
fair.
You staying with Brie Larson on this one?
I don't. I think Matthew Patel.
Okay, I'm glad we could sway you on that. Sway you away from Brie.
Easily
Most
swayable.
polarizing.
Most polarizing
Yeah.
scene.
Mm-hmm.
Well, favorite scene or least favorite scene?
Dude, the party's great. When Wallace comes home drunk, that's my favorite scene. That's my fucking favorite scene. Yeah, guess who's drunk? You are. That's right. Falls on the bed. Tell me you're not thinking. Wait, you got to break up with your fake high school girlfriend. I don't know.
That gossipy bitch.
Yeah.
Where'd you hear that from? Wallace. He's not even conscious.
Wallace, how do you do that?
I think any scene with Kieran Culkin is probably one of the tops. I think though one of the tops is when is oh god, I think it might. I don't even know. They're so good.
There's the first fight scene.
That's what
Like the first battle of the band scene too, because that has some great jokes.
the like I'm so
The build-
sad.
Yeah, the build up to stealing.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, it's not a race.
This was the guy in the back won't shut up. Sweet. That one I think is
It's
probably
called "We Hate You and We Hope You Die." I love this one.
I would say that scene, or I would actually think the dueling with the Japanese brothers when the dragon comes out.
The
and stuff
dragons
like that,
versus
and
That
the
was
stuff
little-
like
really
that.
cool,
Gideon.
but I wish they were playing an actual song. Like, I wish the brothers were doing something other than just playing like the opening to the Who song on the fucking. Like that's all they were doing. They hit one key and then just.
I
and then
guess.
the dragon comes out. Meanwhile, fucking Beck is playing his heart out on the other stage, summoning King Kong.
Playing Launchpad McQuack.
Fucking.
That's not the name of the song.
Yeah, but did they say that in the movie?
He says this one's called Launchpad McQuack, and then Steven goes, "That's not the name of the song."
Yeah,
One, we are Sex Bomb. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I
No,
forgot about
that's at the rehearsal when when Knives first shows up.
So there never was a true official name for that in the what's it called, the soundtrack. It's called "We Are Sex Bomb," but that was the whole joke behind that because that is a real like cult name for that song.
Launchpad McQuack.
Yes, that is the name of that song unofficially.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
it's,
that's
it's
why it
right after
stops at
Knives
that
comes in. He
solution.
goes, "This one's called Launchpad
Yeah.
McQuack," and Steven still goes, "That's not what it's called."
No.
Before he gets the sentence out, Kim counts him off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what my favorite scene is, honestly.
Hmm.
I really do love anything with Jason Schwartzman, though. I think
Uh-huh.
he's fantastic as Gideon. I think his fight scene.
Mhm.
Actually, you know what? No, I changed my mind. The best one for me is the final fight scene when they pull out the freaking katana. It's great. And they start.
Scott-
Got her
the
in the
power
power
of
of
self-respect.
self-respect.
Ow!
You better hope that TV isn't broken or it's coming out of your
Well,
paycheck.
you know what? Who the fuck
What is up with
decides
you
this is the
guys?
best part
And
for you?
being like,
Who thought this is the best
you
part for
better
you?
not break that thing.
And not for nothing,
Instead
my
of you
paycheck
better not get hurt.
is entirely in this room with half of the
So we're
stuff.
looking for sponsors.
I just gave myself concussion. Best
So-
scene, most quotable.
Hold on, I
Most
didn't finish.
quotable.
No. Fuck yeah.
Most
Fuck you, bro. I didn't
Fuck
finish.
you.
The whole tea scene.
TC?
Oh, yeah.
The tea scene.
Yeah.
Where she's like, what kind of tea you got? So we got chamomile.
Oh, that's a good scene.
She's like, we got chamomile, sleepy time, fuck bushwick, da-da-da, this and that. He's like, are you making some of those up? And then the whole we cannot have tea where you're just going to get your blanket. And then she just goes, I changed my mind. He's like, about what?
I also
About sex. Good night.
isn't that the same scene? Oh no, that's when she comes over with the garlic bread.
Yeah,
Bread makes you fat.
Yeah.
I could eat it for every meal. I could just not stop eating it.
Yeah.
You're going to get fat.
Why is that?
Bread makes you fat.
Bread makes you fat. All right, so most quotable.
She has the capacity to geek.
She geeks. She has the capacity to geek. He punched the highlighter out of her hair.
Punch the highlights out of her hair is definitely up there, along with. I'm fucking sticking with milk and eggs, bitch.
I would. That's a great one. I don't. It's hard.
I didn't even know gelatos weren't vegan before that.
Yep.
Did you know that?
I can't. I'm lactose intolerant.
Yes,
I
dude.
knew.
You knew
cannot-
that?
Yeah, I knew gelato wasn't vegan. Yes.
You're not even Italian.
And? That doesn't mean I'm an idiot.
I guess Italians wouldn't understand what's vegan. We have too much cheese.
I'm
and
dumb,
meat
not
and
stupid.
Charcuterie boards.
Yeah.
Charcuterie.
You know, even when you guys make like,
Antipasti.
you know, oh, I'm not gonna put any cheese on top because I know you're lactose intolerant. You still put so much cheese
And then
in
it's
that
just
sauce.
like, here's some lasagna with
Cheesy sauce and everything.
Yeah.
That's what my mom does it too. She goes, "Oh, I didn't put any cheese on top.
Yeah.
How much Parmesan did you put in the sauce?"
Oh, right.
I think
I like Scott. Scott is acutely aware that his last haircut was exactly 431 days ago, promptly 3 hours before his big breakup with Envy. He's been cutting his own hair ever since.
I think another great one too is "You're pretentious. This club sucks. Let's do
Oh
this."
yeah, that's my. That is my favorite part of the noise. You're
He's like,
pretentious.
"Stop talking."
You're pretentious. This club sucks. I have beef. Let's do this. Scott, stop. You really gonna fight me over her? He goes, no. I'm gonna fight you for me.
Yeah.
Scott, earn the power of self-respect.
I think another great one too is "Your BF's about to get
F'd
F'd in the B."
Touch the back of her knee. What do you mean? I don't know. When we were making out, I would just okay.
She comes and blows up.
Yeah, she comes and blows up. Death by cum. Yeah, and she
Yeah.
goes, you'll never be able to make her feel like this.
Yeah, and then her moans.
Coins.
In the echo, you just hear the moans going off. Wait. I feel like there was some, like, cancelable things in this. The Chinese reference, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Knives Chow. She's Chinese.
Yeah.
Every time he's like, oh, this is my girlfriend Knives. She's Chinese. You're dating a Chinese schoolgirl?
Oh, does she wear the dress?
Yeah.
Catholic too.
With the uniform and everything? Yeah. You're gross.
What's up? Yeah.
Cool. See you guys later.
Alright.
All right, brother.
I think another great one is Zelda Tetris.
Oh, yeah. What do you
play?
play? Zelda, Tetris. It's kind of a vague question.
It's kind of a big
Young
question.
Neil is throwing fireballs every time he fucking speaks. I'm a big fan of Young Neil.
His responses to Scott too are great too. Like when Scott's like, "We're never gonna play for you," and also he just pops up with the with the
pops up with the
guitar.
bass line.
And
Yeah.
James May's like, "Oh, look at that! sign, excellent."
What about rehearsal? Neil knows my part.
Yeah, or he's in the back and he's just doing the lights.
Mm.
When he's singing and he doesn't know the words.
Yeah, but there's another scene when they're
No, I know he's doing the lights,
Yeah.
but I'm saying when he's back there singing and he doesn't know the words and he's like, word.
Yo, why is Knives... Okay, so why does she become... She becomes an evil ex for Scott,
Mhm.
but only because Scott gets hurt.
You broke the heart that broke mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. She's
a good-hearted evil ex.
She really never became an evil ex to per se. She kind of just became an envious like little girl, and it was kind of like that like classic.
Oh, she could go down the wrong path.
Yeah, but she like has a greater feeling for the people around her. So when Scott gets hurt, that's when she steps up to fight Ramona because you hurt someone that I care about. Mm-hmm. So in a way, it's like, is she really an evil ex, or is she just hugely has a massive heart?
She's had such an advantage over me. I didn't even know good music existed until like 2 months ago. He only likes her because she's old. She's probably like 25.
It looks so good.
She keeps calling her fat the whole time.
Yeah, fat ass.
Okay, that is my most polarizing scene. I hate that scene so much. Why? Because as a colorist, the worst thing you could do is a box dye blue.
I knew watching this that you were gonna say that. Get off your high horse.
Oh my god, it kills me.
Just the idea is that it's a 17-year-old girl making a whimsical decision.
And that's why
against her probably strict Chinese parents' wills.
And that's why I didn't say anything
Are you even allowed to date outside of your race?
Yeah.
So bad. That's why I didn't say anything about it until it got brought up, and now it's brought up, and now I brought it up.
Wait, because of the color?
The box dye.
Box dye. That's the worst thing you could do to your hair.
Oh, like it damages the hair.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, but it's okay because it gets punched out of her hair and
it's back to normal, like nothing ever happens.
It's like throwing up some drugs.
You just see it on the floor, like a little bit of blue food coloring.
It's true. It's true. He punched the highlight out of her hair. So good.
Young Neil, you are now Neil.
Anything else before we close out?
I'm trying to think if there's
no, I could just go through each. The problem with this is I could go through each scene and pick out things that I'm like, that was fucking genius. Like from a technical and storytelling point of view.
The apartment ownership diagram.
Yeah, just like Wallace.
I think another great line that I just thought of was, "You were once a vegan, now you will be gone."
What? Vegan?
You just headbutted my boyfriend so hard he exploded.
Well, Scott Pilgrim will probably remain a classic.
What's your rating?
I'll bump it up to a 9.0 for you.
All right.
9.4. Great film. Big fan.
9.3. Fuck it. Got an extra one.
Fuck yeah.
Here we go.
All right. Well, that's it for Scott Pilgrim versus the Worlds. And
we will
see
you next time. I would like to tell you what we're going to be doing next week, but we don't know what the schedule is going to be yet. So we'll see you next week with another movie. Peace out. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the show, whatever movie it was about. This is a generic pre-recorded outro, but we hope you had fun. We sure do. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
And the only prescription is more cowbell. We will not go quietly into the night.
Stay gold, pony boy.
I will not die sober. Get those fucking loose.
That's all, folks.